going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here. So I got a DM from Fully Electric earlier. It says announcement on suspension of ZEC, which is Zcash deposit and withdrawal due to instability on the ZEC mainnet caused by a hard fork on June 2nd, which was yesterday. Via BTC has temporarily suspended ZEC deposits and withdrawals. And then IOTA Pi did send me a link to this, and it does look like Zcash executes emergency fork after critical orchard vulnerability discovered. Well, let's take a look at it. All right, so just taking a look, we went to the title already, but Zcash halted orchard transactions holding over 4.7 million ZEC in an emergency fork, while the $9.8 billion network continued operating and ZEC traded near $587. Let's take a look at this. We're up actually, so it looks like it's still going up. We're upwards of $613 now for Zcash, so it's on a pretty crazy pump right now. For the past week, we can see it's been going up. But one thing you got to take note here is look at the price. We're at $622, and when it hit its peak before, it was around $700. Here it's showing $698. I think it was slightly over $700, but these miners were making somewhere over $60 to $70 a day and selling for around $10,000 to $14,000 a miner because there's no other miners online. Now, if you want one, I will have links down in the description so you can get your hands on some Zcash miners, but be very careful of the FOMO. As Bitmain did now start to release new miners, we can see that network hash rate has now finally began to climb. And I've seen the odd spike all the way up to 20 gigahash, where it was remaining steady upwards at around that 13 to 14 gigahash. And this is when we were hanging out at around that, $60, $70 per day range. But right now, if you look at the probability numbers, Zcash is almost back to that price range where it's making so much money, but due to more miners and stuff coming on, we're down to $36 a day. That's pretty insane. The probability is dropping pretty fast, but that doesn't mean it's not good. As we can see, in ROI here is extremely fast, still only 108 days. So in the crypto world, that is really fast. How long will this last? We have no idea, because Zcash has been pumping for, since the 10th month now, and now we're hanging out in the 6th. So it's been just a couple months shy of a year. So Zcash has been pretty steady for, just shy of a year here. So in a few months, we will be at that year. So it has been steady. So the steady profitability is good. And when it comes to the most of crypto, like Bitcoin and stuff, they all suck and the profitability isn't really there. So it's very interesting to see that. So a lot of people are picking up the newer ones, even though that profitability is dropping. But keep in mind, as more batches come online, that profitability will drop. And there's still those lingering rumors of Zcash possibly moving to a full proof of stake over the next few years. Whether that's going to happen, we still don't know. But I did want to put in kind of that, be very careful when it comes to these miners. Links will be in the description if you want them, but I highly urge people to really, do your own research and decide if that's right for you, because we really don't know. And obviously this is not financial advice or anything, but let's continue on about this fork. So the Zcash network executed an emergency soft fork on Sunday night after developers discovered a critical security vulnerability in the Orchard shielded pool, the protocol's most advanced privacy layer. So this is their most advanced layer on their network for privacy, and they finally just discovered a vulnerability in it. The coordinated upgrade activated at main block height 3.3,633,426 at approximately 2 UTC on June 2nd, 2026, and required miners across the network to temporarily stop mining all Orchard-related transactions while the protocol level fix was rolling out. The Zcash Open Development Lab, ZODL, confirmed the incident in an official announcement posted on the Zcash community forum, stating that the issue was discovered over the weekend during routine auditing and security reviews. The vulnerability was caused before any known exploitation took place. So any known. So that means in a few months from now, we could find out that something may have happened. But right now, they don't know of any that took place. So it'll be interesting to see how the future plays out. But so far, no exploits have taken place here. Zottle emphasized that privacy protection remains intact and that all user funds are safe. Those are like the famous last words, are they not? Anyway, continuing on here. The protocol level change first took effect at 2230 EDT on June 1st, 2026. Orchard transactions are expected to be re-enabled at 1400 EDT, 1800 UTC on June 2nd, with Zottle promising a status update at 10 EDT. At the time of writing, ZEC is trading at 587. We just seen where it was, with a 24-hour trading volume of 1.89 billion, according to Coin Market Cap data. So that is huge. It's actively being traded like crazy. There's so much volume there, and it's been on a tear lately. So, that's pretty insane. The token's market capitalization stands at approximately 9.8 billion, making it the 29th largest cryptocurrency by market cap. Despite the emergency soft fork, the price has shown resilience, up marginally in the last 24 hours after brief dipping below that 520 range during the overnight disruption. So what exactly happened? The emergency response was built around the release of Zcash D version 6.12.5, published on GitHub by Zottle with an explicit warning. This is a time-critical upgrade. The release notes state that the update addresses several consensus and denial of service vulnerabilities in Zcash D, all reachable by a remote peer or miner. So that doesn't sound very good, that someone could possibly just remote in to the nodes. Mining nodes that had not upgraded before the activation height would produce blocks that the upgrade majority would reject, leading to high orphan rates. Exchanges and other operators were urged to upgrade within the same window to remain in consensus. Zottle also warned that a second follow-up release will be required shortly after the soft fork activation and instructed node operators to keep their deployment teams on standby. So they're mostly referring to all the mining pools. Be ready for the second update, because then all these pools are going to be finding orphan blocks and everything. The vulnerability affects only the Orchard shielded pool. The rest of the Zcash network continues to run normally. So it's only on Orchard style. If you're running standard or mining standard Zcash network without the privacy and stuff, then you are not affected by this. Transactions using the older sampling shielded pool and transparent addresses are unaffected. ZEC held on exchanges and can still be traded without any issues, which we actually seen there are issues from via BTC and stuff. Zottle stated that it is notifying maintainers of other protocols that have been deployed on the Orchard protocol as part of the responsible disclosure procedures. So the fork was not seamless. So according to a detailed post by Zcash community member Ken Back on the community forum, the transition produced visible instability during the switchover. Multiple competing forks were observed as miners upgraded at different speeds, including a 25 block fork spanning heights 3,363,431 to 3,363,455, and a total of 37 orphan blocks from nodes still running on the old chain. Ken Beck noted that the something Zebra node was upgraded within 30 minutes of notification, and that a fork watch page was set up to let the community track the event in real time. When asked on the forum whether AI tooling had played a role in discovering the vulnerability, Zottle Core developer Paku responded, "We can't say much at this very moment. Zcash Core developers make responsible use of AI to enhance protocol development, strengthening our specification, formalize our code, and many other things that make us stronger." So that's a very interesting point. We are noticing a lot more vulnerabilities that people thought were safe emerge ever since this whole AI boom. So I wouldn't put it past them that they discovered this through AI. The other thing is AI is allegedly taking people's information and stuff. So utilizing this for your main blockchains, if that somehow ends up getting hacked in the background, or a company or something happens there, how much of all this information regarding the security of blockchains will be exposed to other people? So You got to be really careful when all this is coming to light. Now, maybe they developed their own thing and they're running their own LLMs. That would obviously probably be the safest way to do it, but they're probably using the latest clods and stuff. But it's hard to say. Anyway, it's just speculation. I'm just throwing that out there. Let me know what you think about that whole situation down in that comment section. Now, it does say Cake Wallet does confirm that Zec service is down. So the ripple effects hit third-party wallet providers almost immediately. Seth for Privacy, vice president of Cake Wallet, acknowledged the disruption in a post on X, writing, "No details yet, but a major issue has led to the Zcash network doing a rapid fork and includes miners temporarily refusing to mine Orchard transactions. This means that Zcash and Cake won't work at the moment due to the broader network issues, and unfortunately, there isn't anything we can do about it, as that is a network-wide issue. We'll provide updates. We'll update when that changes." So here is their tweet that you can kind of go through here. Cake Wallet, the popular open source multi-chain privacy wallet founded by these guys here in 2018, added shielded Zcash support only in January of 2026. With Orchard transactions enabled by default, the wallet is widely used in the Monero and Privacy Coin community, and its Zec integration has been a notable endorsement for the Zcash ecosystem. With Orchard now suspended network-wide, all Zec functionality within Cake Wallet is effectively frozen until the upgrade completes. The fourth major security event in 3 months. The emergency fork comes amid an unusually dense sequence of critical security patches across the Zcash ecosystem, raising questions about the structural complexity of maintaining two independent node implementations. In April of 2026, security researcher Alex Scalar, SOL, reported 4 separate vulnerabilities affecting both Zcash D and the Zcash Foundation's Rust-based Zebra client. The most dangerous was an Orchard transaction bug where a crafted zero-value key in the RK field could instantly crash any node processing the transaction. So that's very interesting and it's all in the Orchard security issues for this one as well. So it's funny that they're saying everybody's funds are safe. There's no known vulnerabilities that they know of that people exploited to their knowledge, and this is all yet. So, I wonder, is there going to be a big explosion bomb being released over the next couple months of possibly something that happened? But again, I don't know. A separate concession enforcement gap between the two implementations could have triggered a visible chain fork. Mining pools, including via BTC, Luxor, F2 Pool, AMP Pool, and Foundry, deployed fixes before the public disclosure on April 17th. Zotto released Zcash version 6.12.1, and the Zcash Foundation released Zebra version 4.3.1, with the full disclosure published by the Zotto blog. Before that, in March of 2026, SOL had discovered a critical flaw that could have allowed malicious miners to drain more than 25,000 Zec, worth roughly 6.5 million at the time, from the depreciated Sprout shielded pool. Zotto engineer Jack Straightforward Grigg authorized the patch, and SOL received a 200 Zec bounty valued at above 51,000, contributed equally by Shielded Labs, Zotto, the Zcash Foundation, and Bootstrap. And just one day before the current emergency, on June 1st, the Zcash Foundation had released Zebra 4.5.1 as a hotfix for a consensus critical signature operation SIGOP counted bug that the previous day's version 4.5.0 release had failed to fully fix. The flaw, tracked as GHSA 2PRC CJ5X4443, no idea what that is. If you're a coder, let us know down below, involved incorrect P2SH transactions, SIGOP counting, and could have triggered a chain split between Zebra and Zcash D nodes. So it's been a pretty interesting year for Zcash lately, especially the past 3 months going on. And obviously all these have probably been found with AI. All of a sudden everything being found at once. I don't think that's a coincidence. Now, why does the Orchard pool matter? So, the Orchard shielded pool is not just another feature, it is the centerpiece of Zcash's privacy architecture introduced with the NU5 network upgrade in May of 2022. So, this came in May, and they're just finding the vulnerabilities now, and that's most likely, obviously, due to the new AI capabilities. So, built on the Halo 2, I love Halo. That is probably one of the best games ever made. But anyway, that's not a game. We're talking about something totally different here. But built on the Halo 2 proving system, Orchard eliminated the need for a trusted setup ceremony, a long-standing criticism of Zcash's older sprout and sampling pools. A long-standing criticism of Zcash's older sprout and sapling pools. Each Orchard transaction action is structured as both a spend and an output simultaneously, making it substantially harder to analyze transaction flows on the network. The pool has grown rapidly, expanding from approximately 1 million ZEC to over 4.5 million ZEC over the course of 2025 and into 2026. Zottle, formerly known as Zashi, has been the primary driver of this growth, defaulting users to shielded Orchard transactions. The company raised $25 million in seed funding in March 2026 and has facilitated over $600 million in ZEC transactions to date. Over 30% of the total circulating ZEC supply now sits in shielded pools, a level analysts have described as a structural shift in how the network is being used. The fact that the current vulnerability sits in this specific pool, which holds billions of dollars in value, underscores why the response was treated with such urgency. Now, ZEC's 2026 remarkable run, we know all about it. We kind of talked about it earlier, so we don't need to go over that. But what happens next? The Zcash community is now watching the clock for the 1400 EDT re-enablement of Orchard transactions. A fuller technical disclosure is expected once the upgrade is confirmed complete. For users holding ZEC in wallets that default to Orchard, including Zottle, Cake Wallet, and others, the guidance is clear. Funds are safe, but they cannot be moved until the network's primary privacy layer comes back online. So again, we will see what happens. The incident underscores a broader tension in the Zcash ecosystem. The design choice to maintain two independent node implementations, Zcash D, C++, and Zebra Rust, is meant to strengthen decentralization and resilience. But in practice, it has repeatedly introduced consensus divergence risk, coordination overhead, and an expanding attack surface that demands near constant patching. Whether this model can continue to hold as Zcash scales into a $9.8 billion network with institutional holders, an ETF pipeline, and an increasing complex protocol stack is a question the ecosystem cannot afford to defer much longer. So an ETF pipeline, that part is interesting because you start bringing ETFs in here, that is not going to be privacy at all. People are going to buy fake paper Zcash and expect that to be private when you have to go through all of the, I don't even know, all the security verifications and KYCs to even run stuff on a stock market. So there's going to be zero privacy when it comes to the ETF pipeline. So that part is very interesting that, this is kind of supposed to be a privacy thing and people are going to make an ETF for it. So that could just be a straight up filter to say, stop using privacy so we can track you. No idea. Monero is still king. Anyway, guys, what do you guys think about this whole situation going on with all the vulnerabilities and everything and the emergency fork that did happen the other day? And hopefully this brings some light onto why that fork even happened in the first place. As Fully Electric did point out, why did this happen and what was it for? And now we know. So thank you for watching this, guys. I will see you on the next one. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section. Rabid out.